Interested in getting into him.
Hey, we're live.
All right. Me again. Jesus Christ.
You don't have to talk. Get the hell out of here.
I'm teasing.
I don't remember what we were going to talk about.
Were we actually going to talk about anything in particular?
That's what it was. We were just going to bullshit.
I don't think so.
That's it.
Cool. So what's up, Suzanne? How you been?
I'm okay. How about you?
Sweet.
Cool.
Very sweet.
No, I know exactly what to talk about. I think this is actually quite beautiful. Number one, we got Omar Corona in the room, and what's so funny is that me and Omar Corona met up in the weirdest of places this afternoon. Ivan Teller was having a live chat, and I popped in there spontaneously because I rarely catch his broadcast live. I did that time. And who do I see popping around in the live chat? It's Omar Corona. So I was like, hey, what's going on? That's it. And now we're here today. And beyond that, we got Thomas, Suzanne, Jerry, and DG and me in the room. And this is like, to say that this is an old school CW Chanter family reunion is a fucking understatement. This is like where it all fucking started, right?
Exactly. It really is. It really is.
It literally.
All we need is Suze Pratt and Omni. We're golden.
That's it.
No way.
Oh my God, Omni.
She was way like.
It was hilarious because they were both triggering each other.
And how, or we could get Derek Tyler in the room. You know what I mean? Get everyone and their mother in here.
I've never gotten to talk to Derek Tyler. I don't know who he is.
Did you ever see his interviews on my?
No, that was right before I came on to you. So
there you go. It happens. Don't worry. He's another person.
Omar says we're going to talk about the sweet Asian the blue Asians, the sweet blue Asians, and how they like it in the ass. Oh my God! I saw the Kingsman Secret Service movie. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I haven't, but I heard good things. I heard only good things.
It's hilarious, but there's one scene where he rescues his princess, and she's like, if you save the world, I'll let you fuck me in the asshole.
Hey, listen, you know what I mean? Yeah. At least she's doing her princessly duties, right? Talking about taking one for the team.
Exactly.
I guess if you were going to save the world, that would be worth it.
I was going to say,
or she just dug it in the ass.
I was going to say, that's her big trick. Let's see if I can get this jackass to try and save the world to do what I'll let him do anyway.
In the context of the film, he actually did save the world. So
one can only assume.
If your idea doesn't affect 1 billion people, you're thinking too small.
That's why vaccines are so successful, right? Oh, I still can't find the picture.
Must be Bill Gates' motto.
I don't know.
It's actually Singularity University is where I got the idea.
Oh, an AI university.
It sounds nice, but I could just think of so many ideas that I think would be laudable and worthwhile, but just might not get to the 1 billion person mark. We might just be dealing with hundreds of thousands, or maybe just like a small thousand.
No, that's way too small.
How about this? I really got to take a deuce. You know what I mean?
Go for
it. No, I'm not saying literally. I'm saying at this moment, I'm just saying for example, if one were to contemplate the next best right action that one could take, one might find themselves with 1,000 scenarios in which 1 billion people would have no issue at all or involvement.
It's the invasion of the politeness man mind virus.
Absolutely.
Everyone gets triggered by other people not being polite anymore. It's creepy.
Well,
people are crazy.
The other thing that I saw is that there's a notion that we've become so jaded as a society that if people act polite and kind, a lot of people's default is to assume that they are suspicious and that there's something wrong.
Right.
And one of the sharpest examples is that I can tell you, most people tell you, is that I'm friendly to everybody. I'm also friendly to children. If kids wander up to strangers sometimes and start a conversation, and I'm not a jerk about it. Some kid that I don't know starts saying, "What's that?" or "Who are you?" I'll tell them, and then all of a sudden you see someone having a polite, innocent conversation with a 6-year-old. Why the fuck are you talking to that child? because they were talking
I'm the
to
same.
me.
That's so ridiculous.
I'm the same way. I mean, I'm the kind of guy who messes with your kids. Like, I'll stick my tongue out at babies and stuff, and just
Right.
interact with. I'll tap them on the shoulder and run away so they can't. You can't do that anymore.
Oh no! Oh no! Something's
It's
wrong
like,
with you. It gets
you know,
sectioned.
when kids drop like a binky or something, I'll stop and to pick it up for them. It's what I do, and it's like, you know, it's almost like it's like a shield around politeness came up. It's really weird. It's kind of an inverted thing because the kindness act has been turned into like a warning
It's all
sign.
business. No, it's all business now. That's
No,
if
it's fear. It's emotional fear because
yeah, but
Brought to you by the mainstream media.
well,
exactly.
Well,
Well-
CW, I'm sure you've noticed the difference between how people react in that environment compared to when you're alone, than compared to when you have children with you.
it's
when
all
you're-
about context.
When you have your twin girls with you, I mean, people are different, right?
Well, I mean, a lot. Yeah, they do. I mean, what's amazing, you know, sometimes it goes both ways. I mean, you notice things for a variety of reasons. Sometimes you notice anomalies more than you notice, you know, commonalities. So I mean, it's hard for me to say. I know that people interact with me when I'm with my kids, you know, differently. What's always very interesting to me, especially when I was at my extremely long hair phase, is that there have been times where I've gone to, you know, pick them up from someplace, and just for whatever reason, you know, people, you know, do look at you like, what's that long haired super freak doing with those two, you know, adorable looking kids? But you know, for the most part, you know, people are polite. Sometimes people are not polite. But I do notice now that, you know, especially if you're just like trying to be nice to people, that there is a kind of sometimes a default reaction to think that it seems to be, they think, what I get a lot of times is this: it's almost impossible to be, you know, courteous and kind and polite to a strange woman without it seeming like, you know, or them acting like you're hitting on them. Right? Exactly. Like, no.
well, it's because we're supposed to be pure NPCs to each other in public, and then all interaction after that becomes contextual. So like now all of a sudden, if I'm in a coffee shop and you're the cashier, like the relationship goes no further ever outside of cashier client. And then you move on to the next context.
Right. And it's almost easier in those situations to be nice or kind because you have the normalcy of your roles to, you know, like the female bartender feels free to be as friendly and nice as she wants to the customer without the fear that the customer, if they were to interpret it as thinking that they're going home at the end of the night, was anything other than, you know, wishful thinking. You know what I mean? And you're allowed to be freer in that sense because your roles and where those
Because
roles
everyone
kind of delineate and
understands their
define.
roles. And
They know
also,
the rules, yeah.
if you go to a bar, you want the bartender to be like the best people person ever. You want to be able to, if you need to, have a conversation with them.
Right.
And
But,
there's
like,
a barrier between you too, also.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Like in
it's the
cashier.
business barrier.
And a bartender, the bar is in front of you, or the counter is in front of you. So, you know,
Because you're
they're
not
not
supposed to have a conversation with them ultimately.
around, right? Well, it's not. You know, you're not. What am I trying to say? It's not two people in the same space. There's something between the two of you.
The physical bar.
Right, the physical bar, the physical counter. Now, if the bartender
but
came
it's just a
around the
symbol,
counter
though.
and was like talking to you and, you know, flirting or whatever, then that might be taken differently. But
Because of context and
Right.
symbolism.
exactly.
I mean, let's be honest too. It depends on what you look like.
Always.
That too.
Always
Yes,
depends on your status within the hierarchy.
absolutely, sure. There's people that are gonna be able to redefine those boundaries, you know, at a whim, and there's people that are just gonna have less success doing so. Do you know what I mean? And you know, unfortunately, there's some people that will end up falling, you know, be who's for a variety of reasons may they not even be considered to have achieved the status of the role of customer. They don't get treated as nice. They don't get visited as often as much. They don't get tapped on the shoulder. They don't get the extra, olive in their martini, for a variety, because it just doesn't.
But they
occur.
also might be smarter than the people who are good charmers.
Exactly.
And there you go. Good
and
people.
then you just use money to get what you want.
It's
Can't judge a book by its cover.
the world is full of compromises. We all keep on keeping on doing the best we can.
That's right.
Rise home, you coming in?
I think he just left the hangout. He may have not known that he could just hang out in the chat and not be, because he may have seen that it had gone live.
Okay.
He's not that into that.
Found the picture.
Yeah, Rise left.
That happens.
We left the hangout. What? Did you piss him off?
No, he just
he
saw
doesn't
that
like to go live.
He just doesn't do live.
Oh, dude, I'm sorry. I didn't even know he was in here, to be honest.
He might not have also known that that you could be in the hangout in chat, but not in vid chat. You know what I mean? But that is what it is. You're live on your channel. Do you have a simultaneous live chat going? Do we have any viewers?
Yeah, we do, actually.
All right.
It's over here in this window. We have 5 people.
Hey,
Hello, 5 people.
Right.
Joseph Weilman. Hey, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a while. Oh.
There's a huge difference making a video or doing a live stream when there's even 5 people watching.
Tell me about
nobody watching.
Oh, did you not to get too crazy, but the value today, I learned today the value of actually promoting your broadcasts before they actually occur, because I saw we had a ton of people in the watching me and Shane, the thing that just went down.
Yep. I saw 85 live viewers.
Yeah, I saw a large number of viewers.
It was pretty steady the whole time.
Oh, that's partially my fault too, because I took it upon myself to cross the streams tonight. I felt that it's important right now for the different groups of people who have different kinds of thinking to start listening to each other.
Oh, absolutely, no, without a doubt. And I think that might be the next step. That might be the next thing that happens.
So I'm telling you, this is what I did tonight. I put your Hangout link and publicized it in like all the podcast Hangouts I'm in, like Grimerica and on Twitter and in groups of nuts and bolts people. Put it that way.
Well, I definitely appreciate that. It was fun and it was interesting. It was good information.
I even said this in the chat at one point. I think it's really important that now is the time we need to cross those streams and make that extra power, because I really think it's going to diverge into complete splinterization of everything and everything will fall apart.
It's all meme pollination.
But too many memes, everyone will have their own and there will be no groups and then we're fucked.
Well, no, we're all coming closer together. Networks are crossing, and
dude,
it's getting
none of us want that. Okay.
I think people want to be able to talk to interesting people and have interesting conversations safely from behind screens in virtual and mixed reality.
Yes, people want community in that, but I don't think they want to do like download their brain, like do virtual reality or any kind of chip kind of communication stuff.
Well, I mean, not yet, but like it will just become more efficient and cheaper to do it, and the applications for doing so will get better, and people are just going to have.
And then it will become mandatory. This is the problem.
No, it will never become mandatory because 3D printing of weapons.
Wait.
People
That's
try to control.
Yeah.
If you try to control.
Here's the thing. Here's what I would say: is that whenever you get into never or that would never or this is an impossibility,
never say
you're
never.
You're in a very dangerous territory, especially when that impossibility is the contingency that will prevent that from happening is 3D printed weapons or the individual actions of individual players, because someone's going to be caught with their pants down. Somebody's going to be caught with their 3D printed AR-13 in the bedroom while they're in the John, and then they're going to get nabbed. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, that's just the way it goes.
But you can't print a three. Go ahead.
Yeah, you can. Ghost Gunner can print AR-15s.
Beyond that, one argument that I think could be raised, is that what was it saying? Okay, let's look at the analog TV signals. Right at a certain point in America and in Britain, I think in most of Europe now, they've turned off the analog TV signals and turned them all to digital. If you have a traditional TV, or if you've got some sort of moral or ethical prohibition against ones and zeros, and you want your analog signals analog, and you have an analog TV with the old rabbit ears, you currently can't get anything, right?
Without augmentation, correct. You can get
Right,
a
without
converter.
So the problem is this, and so then it becomes an issue of if you want access, and also if you look at now with more and more people requiring the level of information access from their employees, coworkers, and associates that comes from internet connectivity. There's a certain point where things do become mandatory. You can either decide to live off the grid and become a hermit, or if you do want to be involved in the system, you're going to have to make certain conceits and be aware of certain things. So, for example, if you want to live in LA and you want to have a job in LA, you don't have to drive, but you will have to get on a bus probably if you don't drive, in the sense that one of these things where if the default communication protocol between between the majority of humans on planet Earth is this interconnected technology or these implants, then a person who has opted out or whose family has, for whatever reason, opted out of that system is going to be at a profound disadvantage.
It's just a choice that you make.
Well, no, at a certain point, certain choices you can say, did they really have a choice? So, for example, there's a movie called Sophie's Choice, right?
Meryl Streep, right?
Meryl Streep. And the movie it's a woman, it's one of the central parts of the it's a woman in a concentration camp. And she arrives at the concentration camp. She's got 2 children. She's a Jewish woman in the concentration camp, 2 children, a boy and a girl. And I don't even know if I've seen the movie from start to finish, but everyone knows this choice. That's why the movie's called Sophie's Choice. They say to her, we're going to let one of your kids live. If you choose one of your kids to live, one of your kids will live. And if you don't choose one of your kids to live, we're going to shoot them both. Who's going to live? Who's going to die? Can you imagine? That's not a choice. That's not a choice.
It's an expression of the false choice that we have, the falseness of the free will choices we have.
Right. So there are definitely paradigms and systems, I think, Thomas, that we might look
I'd
to and
say
say.
as a favorite. I think you could make and CW. I think your view's skewed on this because you have twins.
Well, I think your view might be skewed because you only have one child, right?
He couldn't make a choice between his 2 daughters. I couldn't make a choice between.
Nor would I.
couldn't.
I think you
I'd tell him to fucking
your
shoot
brain
me.
would instantly have to make that choice.
Well, no. What you would do is 3D print.
No, I'd say
Or you
kill
could
me.
say
Grow
shoot me. I mean, but they're not. If they let you shoot you, that's not part of it.
Well, here's what we know.
Depends on the character of the person too. Some people might say, okay, he pick the one they like the least, and then always live with the guilt and say, oh, I had to do it.
Or the one you think could make it through the camp, or I mean, you'd have some kind
Yeah,
of.
There will be a million choices.
Right, but what will end up happening at the end is post that choice, no matter what you do, your life will be permanently altered. I would imagine that as being akin to some sort of psycho-spiritual existential rape, that you could learn to live with it, you could learn to deal with it, you could learn to process it, but forever and a day, your life would be part of your energy would be incorporated into having to deal with and having to understand and having to relive and having to reanalyze, that moment, that
you murdered one of your children.
And
you
that's-
sent one of your children to be
That's
murdered.
exactly
along
the
with all
type.
the other things in the concentration camp. I mean,
That scenario is also the basis of a lot of the MK program trauma stimuli.
so you could control people to do things they would never do because they've done something worse.
No, more like that breaks it fractures the mind. It's
like the wound was so deep from what they did to you.
Imagine that happening to you daily for a year, 10 times, having to go through that kind of experience. That breaks your mind, and that's the whole basis of all the MK programs. A lot of them is to break the psyche and then program it.
Right. And I think there's also an issue that you have to analyze, is that if a choice is being forced upon you, then sometimes in life choices are forced upon you by the accidents of fate. What do you do in this situation? What do you do in that situation, where it was totally out of your control and anyone else's control? It's just nature, life, the events. But if some monster, confronts you and locks you into a situation where they say something like, you have to make this terrible choice or that terrible choice, you haven't been presented with a choice. I don't know if you can call that
Exactly,
a meaningful
that's not a
choice.
choice.
It's not really a choice. And no one understands that philosophers have been tossed around these issues, for a long time. And, there's different ways to look at it, whether it's technically a choice or not a choice, but it's not a choice because, I mean, not you don't always have infinite choices, but when it's that sort of artificial selection of a binary option or an artificial construction of a mental head game, then
It's not a free
it's
choice.
not a free choice at all.
Kind
You
of
know
like
what I mean?
kind of like our election.
Right, exactly.
It's a lot
Exactly.
like that.
It's almost a perfect example because it's this total double bind. You can be morally and ethically compromised down Avenue A, or you can be morally and ethically compromised down Avenue B. And
When
that's
in fact you're really picking this. They're both the same thing too. That's
yeah. I mean,
It's like the one thing that needs to change is instead of forget the whole electoral college thing. After watching France, which I admittedly did not know much about, but got YouTube coverage, why do we need to do this primary thing all the way down? Shouldn't we just have one election with like all the say the top 6 people, and then do a runoff after that? Like, why do we have to narrow it down within the parties with 2 separate party systems that are almost
it'd be
paradoxically different? You have the
too
Democrats,
expensive.
whose system of choosing a candidate is completely undemocratic. I mean, with the super delegates and such,
right.
Yeah, fuck them.
like the opposite of democracy. I don't know. That's sorry for the rant there. I don't
No, Rand. It's super
It makes
nonsense.
sense. It makes sense. No, I mean, well, I mean, a lot of these things, come down to just, historical precedent. You know what I mean? Like, what does it take to change the electoral college? It's very simple. You change, the legislation and the laws. That's a possibility. You
It
can
takes
do
all
that.
50 states ratifying that, though.
Well, it doesn't
Well,
matter anymore because they've lost control of the money.
Let that one go.
They haven't. They have not yet lost control. They're still running the government so they can put clamps on anything.
Okay.
And if you want to say that Bitcoin can't be controlled, that may be true, but the people who would be potential customers can be.
Yeah.
I have more faith.
I'm not trying to be negative.
I'm not saying you're being negative. I'm just saying I have more faith than that.
It's not a matter of faith.
I think it's a matter of faith.
Okay, well,
Because
you.
Like, otherwise, like, what? Like, why? If you don't have faith that things are going to turn out well, why not kill yourself?
Hey, can you pick a better virtual spot for art? This one's kind of boring.
Okay.
No, the Urban Center one.
I was out shopping this weekend trying to find suitable fabric to make a green screen because I want to have like cars driving by behind me when I'm on.
Hey, did you
Like
look
Vinny
on
Eastwood.
Amazon? They got those ones that like a tent that pops up,
No, I was going commando. I went to like Joanne Fabrics, kind of,
I can't believe I haven't
That's
gotten
more
my ass
expensive.
together to do green screen yet. That's been on the to-do list since like 2014.
Dude, all you need to do is take a screen that's a sheet that's green, put it behind you, and then open an OBS Studio. Look
Yeah, he
at
knows.
one YouTube video, and now you have a green screen.
You have the perfect.
Any color.
You got the perfect spot for it. But here's a cheat you can do is take a snapshot from one of your videos while you're sitting, and then crop that out and use that as a mask.
Yeah, if you don't move around a lot, you could do that easily.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, all this stuff would take like what 15 or 25 minutes,
Pretty much
dedicated to researching how to do it. But that's 15 or 25 minutes, Jerry. I can be scratching my ass. You know what I mean?
Well, just download OBS, and that'll probably get you on the track.
Do you know how far behind on my subscription feed I am from this weekend?
Oh, forget about it.
I know, it's crazy. I'll never.
And the worst is the heartbreak is those videos that you really, really, really want to watch, and you add it to watch later, and you just know that you're throwing it down the memory hole. You're never going to get back to that 2.5 hour presentation of someone talking about the interconnections between mushrooms and Satan and Scandinavian folklore. You want to have the extra 3.5 hours to commit to that whole fucking George Lurgerson lecture, but that's just shit that ain't never gonna fucking happen.
You just reminded me of the Neil Gaiman Norse mythology book that just came out. It's a lot like that. But I really try and make a point to go back and watch my watch laters because if I put it in there, it's important. But yeah, you want to talk crazy? That 9-hour marathon of Og and Patty Broussard.
What?
I was amazed. How did they
Wait,
do that? Because I didn't even know you could.
Patty Broussard is still doing the circuit?
I listened to that
Oh,
3
yeah.
times. I've listened to that 3 times now.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Why?
Why?
I mean, I just
Was
wanna
it
know
worth
what's
it?
good about it.
Because you. Yeah.
Because I'm a freak of
Did you get
nature.
stuff?
I don't know.
Did you get stuff out of each one of them though? Each time?
Yeah, I mean, I got little. I can't say that anything that they said was true because I don't know, but certain things that they said matched each other and matched other people. And now the problem is, are we just in one big giant echo chamber?
Yes, we're definitely in an echo
We
chamber.
are.
I don't think so. I think there might be
Okay, then it's
couple of
synchronicities.
I mean,
it's not what sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. But I see what's happening. This is going on in the flat Earth community right now. They're getting like, we're drawing a line in the sand. Either you're a flat earther or you're a ball shill, and vice versa. And then within that you've got the subfracturing, and it sucks because nobody on either side really has the answer. So that they don't
Yeah,
have
but
the what.
I have not been watching very. Like I watched Jaren's thing today about him looking in the telescope.
Mhm.
Did you see that?
I didn't get to watch it yet. I'm way behind on my feed.
Okay, Jerry, you have
All
the
it is
ability-
is
Go ahead, tell us.
rendering. The computer, the simulation.
I get it. I don't need to be convinced. See. This is the other
No, but
thing.
it was.
I've already
That's
formed
the
an
only thing
opinion.
that I've watched.
I know, but
So,
I've formed an opinion, which is bad. I've
I know. Yeah,
there's
and
possibilities,
I
but I think you and I are in the same boat on opinion.
right. So
Um,
what I was gonna say is that you told me to start watching Og because
mhm,
we're on that thing with Og, and I've
mhm,
talked to Og several times before,
mhm.
and so like when usually, and I did this a lot with CW, when he would post videos, it's like I would be talking back to him in the videos. I would be like, yeah, I get that, or
Mhm.
whatever, and that
Exactly.
sounds silly, but that's just that's the way I do it. So it's like we're having a conversation. So like Og would be saying stuff, and I would come up with what he was going to say before he said it. Like I was agreeing with what he was going to say
It
even
happened
before
to
he
all of us
said it.
during those chats.
Yeah, I know.
We have to explore this. When
I
I hear Augtel speak, all I hear is it. I can't even. CW Chanter's not an idiot. Okay, I'm also not a
No.
guy who lacks empathy and lacks the ability to kind of try and slow down and get to and hear what another person's saying. I can understand flits of little pieces of what Og is saying, but literally, I don't know. It's not noise. I'm hearing him speak. It doesn't make any sense to me. And when I say it doesn't make any sense to me, I'm trying to explain it in a way like it's different than me saying the story of Shane the Ruiner or Corey Good doesn't make sense to me. How that could be real. Because they're speaking English, they're speaking syntax. I get and I can understand and translate what
They're
they're saying,
telling a
even though
story.
they're telling a story. But when Og goes on his thing, and
Right.
especially when he goes on speaking as fast as he can, I've rewound plenty of times, and I eventually got to the point where I was able to satisfactorily say to myself, CW, you've rewound the interview and rewatched the 20-minute section enough times. It's not you. This shit just doesn't make any fucking sense. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And like I said, I don't know what I mean. I can't die. I mean, I would never even do that. I mean, look. I mean, and I always tell people it's not that I don't think that what he's saying, can't be entertaining in many ways. I come back to the same analogies all the time. MC Escher and Alex Gray. It's beautiful. It's visually captivating. It's exciting. But when you take a step back and ask yourselves, but does it, really say anything? Is it really, really amazing or beautiful art? It's a visual trick. Put it up on a college dorm room campus. It's amazing. Drop some shrooms and stare at it and listen to it. It's whoa. But the notion that he's saying anything that, I mean, it makes sense, but it's theology and cosmology. What lies beyond the veil? What is the true nature of reality? And it's a testimony about that, and that it's an exciting testimony. It's energetic, and I know that a lot of people get something out of it. But for me personally, when I listen to it, I just say to myself, I go, well, gee, and all I can understand is understand him in his historical context. And it's the same thing with Corey Good. The guy has an evolving story. He came out as a Donald Marshall devotee, saying everything that Donald Marshall said is correct, and I know. Laid down low, came back up once in a while, and then all of a sudden is on a fucking tear, where he's recording, blogging, and like anything, if you do, it's like fidget spinners. If you promote anything enough, promote it, it's gonna eventually gonna find traction and start.
Did you see the warning that came out from physicists talking
Yeah,
about
watch out about those fidget spinners.
it could spin the Earth off its axis or some shit? It's hilarious. The only thing I wanted to say about
every video, I'm not talking about every video of his,
Right.
by the way, because I have not watched every video. Just in the last, I would say, what, 3 weeks, Chair? When did you tell me?
I don't know.
A month?
2 weeks ago?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
It was the one that really. I wanted to say that. Go ahead and finish because I wanted to.
No, that's all I was going to say. Is I haven't watched every single thing of his. I was just I was just agreeing with him, and then I would say, oh, it's this, and then he would say it's this. So like.
That totally happened to me too.
That's not for everything. That's not for everything, though. That's all I'm saying.
No, right. And the one that resonated was the whole ancestor simulation thing, which is what I had you look at. Mm-hmm. And this is the only thing I wanted to say about Og that interests me is that I understand what he's talking about for some reason, right? And
I do too.
Just say if there were some kind of programs going on where certain people were modified in a certain way, maybe those people do understand what he's saying and other people do not. I can't discount that as a possibility.
And I say I speak from my heart, and I speak my heart's truth, and I just tell people all the thing that I tell them all the time. I go, part of the reason I'm able to know that Shane's story, Corey Good's story, and Og tells his story, and a lot of these people's stories are incorrect, is because I know I'm so fucking amazing that there's no goddamn way that there's a fucking program that's isolating these individuals and saying we're going to do shit to them, but we're going to leave CW Chanter, the land of normalcy, to be to hang out in this plastic, fantastic button down Madison Avenue scene. I just don't fucking buy it.
Well, you're the perfect shill for them.
And I tell people this all the time. I said, I will know that Donald Marshall's story is absolutely, completely, totally, and absolutely legitimate, verified, and 100% true when he comes out and says that the dirty little secret, the one piece of information that he hasn't disclosed so far, but he must disclose now, is that Enki is walking around on planet Earth. And if you want to know who the fuck Enki is, you ever see CW Chanter? That's the dude. He's a fucking monster. He's doing all this crazy. He's a fucking space god. He fucking wears the kiss boots. He can fly and shit. And if he said that, I'd immediately be like, well, at least Donald Marshall has now, made peace with reality and started telling the truth.
Enki lives inside of Robert Stanley. This is well established.
This is well established. Dark Stanley.
He's not dark. It is my belief. I would say it's a belief, really, that spirits or whatever that you communicate with are part of your DNA genetic memory. This is why I wanted to get Killendall, talk to him about, because he brought it up before.
I think he wanted to. Did you want him to get a link to this?
I don't have I don't have a contact for him. Will you send one?
I have him on Skype. Is joining by link on? I can send them.
Yeah, I put that link in our chat. Anyone else wants to join any of the 4 people in here? Ed, is Ed still here? I don't know who's here. Oh, no one's here. Just me. Never mind.
Where's the link? Is this the link in our chat, in the group chat?
It's in the private group chat.
Oh yeah, there you go. No.
There's 4 watching, but nobody on chat. And I invited Randy, so he's probably one of the watching people.
Hey, Thomas, are you playing Counter-Strike?
Yeah, what up?
Is that Counter-Strike?
It's the Counter-Strike of VR.
Okay. Is it the actual game or?
Mystery One is
VR.
Hi, sweetie.
I need to get my PSVR hooked up to the computer. I haven't. There's a way to do it. Someone released a program that lets you use it on Steam VR.
Oh, that's cool. You should do that.
Yeah, so I mean, if you guys are if you're interested in watching like this triggering the stuff we were talking about last night, which absolutely none of you, DG was here, Dave was here. You know all the stuff we were talking about.
Yeah,
The
yeah, the triggering mind control.
Yeah. If you want to see that in action from afar, look at what's going on in the flat Earth community, because that's where it's at.
You know, I
That's
saw
where
I saw some of that in that Portland shooting too, because someone did a video showing that there's this guy that did y'all hear about the murders in Portland over the free speech
Yeah,
at the free
yeah.
speech rally?
Yeah, a little bits of it. Yeah.
I saw some pretty interesting stuff on It was a Facebook thing where the guy that actually did the killings actually was bragging on Facebook beforehand that he was going to go and do a false flag on Trump people. And if you watch the previous live streams of those events, there's always a guy running around with an American flag wrapped around him, yelling at people. And then it shows on the news, they showed the murderer with an American flag wrapped around him, but he was doing the Nazi salute. And so I don't know, maybe one of the first. It's one of the first times I've ever seen something called a false flag and then actually seen evidence that it might be.
I've had this kind of theory kicking around in the back of my head that what we are thinking as false flags is nothing more than sensationalism of a news item. So say that some guy did shoot up the Orlando Pulse nightclub allegedly, right? But it was a handgun and only one person got hurt a little, but like the news gets there and like, oh, this sucks, let's make it bigger, and they hire people and bring them in and they kind of ride on the coattails. They don't have to talk to cops. They never do. They don't. If you watch any of the news coverage, they don't talk to the official people that often. It's more they wait for the press releases. So I mean, it could be that they insert people into the scene to pretend to be victims but aren't actually, and I'm not saying that is the case. It was just a thought I had. And the reason it made me think of that was that last San Bernardino shooting. Do you remember that?
Yeah, the Planned Parenthood.
I don't remember. It was a school. It was a school. There were kids inside. I don't remember if it was.
Okay.
It was a guy came in and shot his wife. It was like Hispanic or black dude, and they were like all in love. And there's tons of pictures of them. Yada yada yada. During one of the broadcasts, I think it was on CNN. I don't remember. They had a couple who were being interviewed who were like, our daughter's in there, but we know she's okay because we have this app called Is My Daughter Okay? Or something like that, which is connected to some network which lets you know if your kid's okay if there's a school shooting. Okay?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That to me looked like an inserted thing. Like I'm not saying the news people did it or the couple did it or they're in cahoots. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, it would be so easy to just walk up to a crime scene or something like that and go, our kid's in there, and get coverage for your app. Right?
Yeah, it would.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Now you get it.
Yeah, I mean, if what darkness lies in the hearts of man, you know what I mean? We see that we know the potential actions that people can engage in, the various nefarious, endeavors that people can do. We were just this ongoing discussion about Corey Good and why he does what he does, or what would be the justification of doing it, or why would you have to do it? And it's like, if you got to feed your family, if you got to do what you got to do, you might be sitting there being Corey Good, saying, even though I know I'm bullshit, even though I'm lying, and if that's a sin, I'm gonna pay that price. It's a price I'm willing to pay, or a price I'm gonna pay, because I got to do what I got to do.
Well, it's like the bulletproof backpack inserts.
Hey, Killando, what's going on, bro?
Hey, dude.
Yeah.
You got to think that by this point he's either fully invested in it, which means he's fucking soulless cretin, or he believes it, or he's mind controlled. Like it's really a finite set of things that it can be at this point.
Oh yeah, but what's so crazy, Jerry, is that there's a finite set of things, but so many of those things can just involve us knowing a man in just this intense existential crisis. Like, what if you here's the thing, like I always thought this, like, if him and his wife are in cahoots together, it's one thing, but if he's lying there next to her and he knows that his internal bullshitting, it has to involve him incorporating or finding into the story, finding an excuse to be found on the bathroom floor, or wake up next to her going, baby, it happened again, and having to do all that, like having to lie to the kids.
And to make them look at that comic book and the coloring books that they're coming out with.
Yeah, that's all just really creepy.
It's and you know
It's cult stuff.
it's
And
it's,
then wait, no, but see, this is going to spawn even more of the look at the Illuminati symbolism. There's 56 sevens in this Jungle Surfer video. Not that I'm knocking him. I'm just picking. He likes to note the sevens in images that there's
Not host.
all these sevens everywhere. But it's true they are there, but that's they're not there intentionally.
The thing we talked about the other night that was crazy was that those patents.
Yeah, right. That just
Which
kind of showed up.
patents?
That is, when you ask the question of were those ever there before, it's an interesting thing because I actually looked around on the internet. If you can look at 1,000 articles with the title 10 weird patents or the 50 weirdest patents ever filed, and that guy doesn't come up on any of them.
But he's got like fuckload of weird ass patents, doesn't he?
He has the weirdest.
Oh yeah, that dude.
who are we talking about again? The
His
patent.
name's John. Believe it or not, John Quincy St. Clair.
A name you can trust.
A name you can trust.
That's it.
I'm sure he's a 33rd degree something.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it sounded like a front to me. Like
Zachary K. Hubbard takes one look at his name and goes, "Jackpot!"
I already did his gematria.
I'm retiring from Chaldee
I did it.
to Old English.
CW, you ought to see
I'm
some of these
done.
patents. They're like an invention for teleporting from one place to another.
Oh, it gets even
And-
crazier than that.
And
Go ahead.
kind of like, it's all like if someone from the New Age community just took all the crazy ideas and just tried to patent them. That's kind of what this is.
I gotta look into that. That sounds like similar. But
But
is
what's
there
weird is
claims of the technology?
these crazy things were granted by the Patent and Trade Office, which if you've ever gone through patent stuff, that's not.
Yeah, I was gonna. That's the so. What year were these patents given?
2004. They were filed in 2004. They were released in 2006. A 2-year process. That's virtually impossible. I went through a software patent thing that lasted 6 years, and I lost. So
I just went through a medical one that took almost 11 years.
Yeah, there's no way. So that's weird.
I wonder if they just looked at them and threw their hands up and were like, "Fuck it."
No, the bureaucracy would not do that.
They had to. When you read the
no.
They're a waste of time.
They're military-industrial complex patents that were pushed through. It's all simple.
That whole patent shit is a waste of time, man.
It is.
Well, then they thought it might come through.
It's a gate. It's a fence, so they can watch people what's going on. It's a surveillance device, is what it is.
Well, here's another simpler theory. Is just to say this is that the whoever in the Army civil engineers, whoever is looking at the situation or talking about these potential technologies, just says to themselves the better thing to do would be, instead of risking a situation where we end up having to spend billions and billions and billions of dollars in licensing fees to hither and yon for this technology, let's just put through semi-generic patents or patents that cover enough of what we know the possible technologies could be, and therefore then if anyone actually hits the nail on the head, we can always come back, or even if it's as simple as them saying, "Oh, you owe us money on our patent," to say, "No, we're operating off this coexisting concurrent technology that all of a sudden our working models fill in all the blanks that aren't on the patents." I don't know.
Like, it all becomes prior art.
You know.
Exactly. All
sorcery now is prior art.
All sorcery is prior art. Here's a question, though, because of the digital nature of our lifestyles, when a patent attorney does a patent search, it's going to use like a LexisNexis type search, or is it going to go to Google Patents? You know what I mean?
Right.
Is there a possibility that patents could be inserted digitally into the past?
That's the question, because that's.
Oh, yeah.
This actually had a thread going
That's
on
interesting.
Avalon, and everybody on that thread was like, "We've never seen this before."
That's my point.
It's very weird.
Wow. Because if you think about it, like, look at just even if you think about a guy like Ceausescu, was in the dictator of Yugoslavia, their ability to just even pre-Photoshop just erase people from history with just by sheer effort, like the old school style, going to the village where he lived and burning down his family house and killing his.
Or add people into history.
Let me just add one more
Have you
thing.
ever seen The
What's-
Eraser with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah.
Had people like John Quincy St. Clair.
Well, not what I was going to say. Now look back to like the Cara St. Louis story of flamenco. They're erasing whatever happened, 50, however long ago it was,
Jerry,
Yeah.
Can you screen share one of those? Just one. Just
I will. I want to. There's
live
one I
page?
want to. There's one that really, really I found really interesting, and I also found out that I can screen share with 2 windows up at once, which is awesome. Here it is.
Yeah, just for everybody, in case people watching haven't seen these things. But
I
yeah,
put the
it
link
looks
in chat.
great.
Okay, so
Oh,
this is Figure 16 artwork for the personal teleportation device. Okay. That is essentially the setup for like a Solomonic, or what is it? I'm pretty sure it's Solomonic, like a Goetia ritual.
Like Boaz,
That's-
Joachim.
It's more, yeah, but you can also, like, if you want to do scrying with 2 candles and use a Solomon triangle mirror with the black mirror, that's exactly what you're looking at. It's like a bunch of different things.
and also it's interesting if you follow like from A to B to C to D, you're going up like
Up the tree life, I
tree
know.
of life, right? And then you
I
come
know.
back down to the GME.
It's like, and this is how you teleport. Okay, now why?
Now this is how you teleport.
It's just like, oh my god, what does it all mean? Is where I'm at. It's like, what the fuck? It all is the same thing, but it's different. It's like, it's a paradox.
Are there any frequencies that go along with that?
I can tell you this.
And
There's
if
no
you're
way
just
that
tuning in,
diagram.
this is not an esoteric book. This is the U.S. Patent and Trade Office.
Yeah, and there's no way that diagram should have gone through a patent office in
Dude,
2004.
there's like 20 of them, dude. Show
Yeah.
them.
I'm going through them.
Are there any frequencies that go along with that?
I didn't read the patent.
The
Okay.
patents are extremely descriptive. You might just Google it yourself if you're interested. But yeah, it goes into the whole way you use it.
Let me show you another one.
They're quite interesting.
So are those like statues? Are those like towers? Like, what's the scale?
Sorry, I didn't really read it. I just looked at the pictures and it was like, oh my god, I'm not summoning demons.
You guys ever seen an anime called Magi? They reference Solomon as the God King in that story, and there's like a Magi. The main Magi is Solomon's representative. You know.
Interesting. I know. I checked it out though. Can everyone
It's
see
really
this?
cool. Yeah.
I mean, we'll see it in a second.
Okay, it's a chi energy amplifier with instructions on how to use it. I read through a little bit, but I read a little bit through this, and it does involve counter-rotating magnetic fields. Again, another thing that is like at the center of everything.
Yeah.
Foucault's pendulum. That's pretty fucking weird. Okay, plus, I won't really start there. Never mind. It's basically, it looks like you're dowsing for energy. Okay, but this is a science patent. Okay, it's just like, oh my god.
That's
There's
fucking
no way that this should have gone through the patent office in 2004.
Look at this.
Wait,
Oh
that's
man,
isn't
dude,
that what
that's
Donald Trump put his hand on?
Yes, that's exactly the other thing. Was this?
Hey,
And did you guys notice it was Antarctica that they were touching?
Oh, I got better than
Nobody
that.
noticed that.
You win.
I win. Thank you.
Shit.
But then again, 9 times out of 10, if you put your hand on the globe by default, you end up putting your hand on Antarctica.
My pinky would be on Antarctica, and my thumb would be on the North Pole.
But they don't do
Surrounded.
any of that stuff. None of that is. Everything is on purpose. Nothing is.
let me read this brief portion of the summary for the full body transportation system.
Hilarious picture, by the way.
Some things are by chance. I would definitely say
Glued up.
everything's a reflection of something, though.
Yes,
Yeah, it's a fractal.
it's a reflection of all the energy it's receiving.
What's new?
What am I looking for?
But anything in a photo is-
man. Just
I know.
bivariant
By
I made this.
fraction.
You should talk more about people and drama between people because that's the
Get your ass to
realest.
Syria.
Basically,
It's-
That'll
yeah,
get you
it says
hits.
you got
Take it from
to get in the
CW
patent.
Chanter, I know.
Yep.
I
there you
post.
go.
I put it on Twitter. I didn't get anything. What am I looking for?
Jerry, in this patent, he says that he came up with the idea for the teleporter while he was walking to the bus stop on May 2nd, 2004, and he experienced a full body teleportation. And his
Ironically.
entire walk to the bus stop is diagrammed out.
You know,
There's
this
like an
this
airplane flying
technology,
overhead,
man,
and the
Sounds like
whole thing is
Albert
described.
Hoffman.
to be able to like
I'll
navigate
believe it when I see it.
space and time based on electromagnetic frequencies is probably a pretty like tremendous effort and would take very amazing equipment.
I mean, shit, y'all. Not really. I'm doing that shit right now. I'm talking to y'all. I'm listening to the conversation. I'm having a good time. But I'm also simultaneously in combat.
That's awesome. What did you say, Kalendal?
I'm saying like these devices, they look pretty rudimentary. To be able to like accurately plot where you're going to end up in time and in space as well is probably tremendously difficult and would require amazing equipment.
It depends on where you're going and how it actually works. I mean, if it's an intention
Yeah, I
thing,
mean, you got to read the patent. It's all there.
I'm more interested in actually building that chi generator. I have an idea. I have like not a free energy idea, but another idea.
I'm ready for it if you're going to case it.
Who believes in
Don't
space
spill
and
the beans,
time?
just say it.
I do. I don't want to like own it. I do want to own it. I mean, if somebody builds it, I want to be at least noted as the idea.
Okay.
So my thought is, I've been watching a lot of this guy named, I think his name's Gerard Morin. I can find his link for you. Did y'all see his picture?
Yeah.
With the ball?
Yep.
Okay, never mind.
I love that Hot Topics in the background.
Oh yeah, that's the ball he.
They're in front of a
touched
Hot Topic store.
from the patent, right?
Similar. It's very similar, but this is like a meme that went around of them all touching the ball with the hair up and the plasma. It's a joke picture. Never mind.
And then they're going to go
So-
into Hot Topic and buy some t-shirts.
They're in the mall.
And some skinny jeans.
Except they don't have Hot Topic in Saudi Arabia.
Someone
If they
got
did have that
photoshopped one of
ball,
those old school Rock Shabusa high
fucking
school
beat
photos
you
they
all.
shares with us into there.
This guy, specifically this video, where he describes that his belief, his experimentation right now, leads him to believe that electrons do not move. That
in a superposition at once, always, everywhere.
No. That the frequency of the voltage that flows through it is actually causing a resonance wave through the wire. And it's the resonance that carries the electricity. And he's tied that back to Tesla, and that's all Tesla's research was that. So he's been working on a device which can convert that resonance power into a generator, right? And I've seen some other demonstrations of this. It is a thing. It really does work. You can transmit stuff over the air. You can't use it to power your fridge, though. You know, it's not like that yet.
Well, then what good is it?
You could use it. Apparently, you could use it to power a small fan and/or analog clock, or maybe an orb. This guy seems legit.
I'd love to see a guy that
Let me
Don't judge a book by its cover.
certain rocks that you put together to make a 0-point energy.
Let me finish.
You've seen those? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So,
I thought the neutron would be neutral, not the electron.
Whatever. The molecule, the atom.
Like
Not in electronics, you have the theory, like in a digital transistor, you've got electrons flowing in a tunnel.
Yeah.
Right? That's different from what he's talking about with a copper wire. When you put current on a copper wire, the copper vibrates at a frequency which transmits the electricity across the wire to the end. The electrons don't flow through it. It's like it's micro vibrating. It's an interesting theory, but that's the whole theory behind the resonance theory that allows you to transmit power. Point being, my idea is it's a very low voltage, low power type of thing, and I thought of a great idea and a great use for it. If you could put one of these in your home, it could function as a peer-to-peer internet hub where we could create distributed pockets of internet to keep it up should there be an EMP or some crazy shit like that. It's got enough
That's a good idea.
It's got enough power.
Yeah, but you couldn't shield it from EMP without making it stop working, right?
You don't have to. It's not electronic.
Jerry,
I see what you're
I
saying.
got a
There's
science
no circuit
question.
to fry.
Yeah. Question, go.
All right, so I've got a really long telephone pole wire,
Mhm.
a mile long, and I put a current on it on one end, and on the other end, How long does it take for that current to reach the other end?
Allegedly, the speed of light fast.
Speed of light fast, not
Well, if
instantaneous.
it's DC, it might not get there.
That's true too.
Because the why?
It depends on the wave that you're. Well, direct current doesn't travel over distances. You have to have
Right.
alternating current.
That's the whole reason that we have power lines and you have to
Well,
push
that's why we have the
millions
power
of
lines
volts.
we do.
Yeah.
Like if you visit New York City and you go in like a really old bar, sometimes you can look in the ceiling and you'll see like dozens of wires sticking out of the wall at the very top, and that's from back before AC power when there's DC running all the lights and stuff. So there'd just be tons of wires because everything was just wired up in this like. Just picture way more wires. That's what DC leads to.
Back when, so when Edison won, let's put it that way, and before New York was wired, they built one power station. I forgot exactly where, but it allowed like most of the richest people in New York to get electricity, and that's exactly right. Each socket would have its own wire. You know,
It was in Manhattan.
It's basically because DC is basically battery power, if you want to think about it that way. AC is alternating, and you can transmit it because A, it's a finite loop. Everything that goes in comes back out. And secondly, it's like a hose. The more energy you put into it, the more power, the farther it will go. And that's why there's transformers that step it up and down to be used by individual consumers.
That's also what makes it dangerous, though.
Exactly. Edison and Tesla, I forget what the exact deal was. Edison discredited Tesla by electrocuting animals.
Yeah, in the street.
In the street.
Is the elephant? Now I heard that there's that famous movie, old black and white movie of the elephant being electrocuted to death. And I thought that was part of those experiments of showing how deadly it was.
I'm pretty sure I've seen that, and that's correct. Yeah.
Mm.
But I believe he even would just take to the streets and kill dogs and stuff like.
Yeah, but
on a campaign.
He was lying. Tesla stuff did not kill animals.
I just heard somebody the other day say that Edison was like a patent show, kind of like John St. Clair.
Totally was a patent show.
The electricity is dangerous. You go stick your finger in the light socket. That's Tesla.
Yeah,
that's Tesla's stuff.
But Tesla was doing something beyond what Edison was doing.
Well, I mean, there's different ways.
That was later. That what you're talking about, I think.
No. I'll find them. I'll have to go make them. Find
when you're thinking about,
I already researched it.
Whenever you think about a guy like Tesla, there's going to be people that are going to be willing to accept more or less of the story, because obviously the story can go as fantastical as you want to be. He's in contact with the Palladians. He's getting his information from Mars. All this stuff.
Well, I just know there's a timeline for the real.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Story.
My
understanding.
The stories. Yes, the story involving him and Edison happened before all the real fantastical stuff about Tesla started to those stories occur. Right. So you can historically analyze what occurred between Tesla and Edison and just understand it as being the fight between two scientists, and also understand this is that what often the technology that the real lesson is the technology that wins out is not necessarily the best technology. It's the best technology with the best salesman. In the sense, this is that Tesla.
Right, that they can charge
I think
for.
It also had to do with coal power, because
probably,
if the power plant's in the middle of Manhattan, it's probably going to be cleaner burning than if you can make it miles away.
And Edison was an American, and Tesla was a foreigner. There's all sorts of different things.
Well, Suzanne, that Westinghouse, that's what he did was bring.
Yes, I know. Yeah, and I know Henry Morgan pulled the money out, and I've researched Eric Dollard. I don't know if you know who Eric Dollard is, but
I've heard his name.
Eric Dollard was a professor at Sonoma State. And he's done every Tesla experiment. He's done every experiment. He worked for Marconi and then RCA in Bolinas Bay when he was like 16. He was doing radio waves, and he was, doing everything with the radio. And he, I've watched hours and hours of lectures on electricity and.
So when was the Colorado phase?
With Tesla?
Like in time-wise. I don't actually know that.
Well, it was after the whole, after they set up all the energy.
Stuff in New York.
Right.
What's the question? What year?
Yeah, like what?
Yeah,
not
when he was in
necessarily the year,
Colorado and he did that whole.
but was that before or after New York?
The lamps.
Well,
and-
It was after. I believe he'd been discredited and he went to Colorado
was.
Springs. Yeah.
Right. I just
To
heard
start-
a thing today though that he used to make earthquakes. Like there would
Yep.
be earthquakes that would register at his lab in New York.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I live now, Jerry. Colorado Springs, bro.
It's supposed to be a powerful place.
It's a beautiful place.
It
To the
is.
vortex, you're there, so.
Well, it's the ley lines. It's all that stuff.
The ley lines.
Yeah.
Why are you laughing at that?
Well, I was just talking about it.
Is it mature?
No,
Like,
because
what
it
are
made me
the ley lines like in Hawaii?
see. I think there's more than just the ley lines. I think there's like grids upon
yeah.
grids upon grids upon grids,
Of
and they're all
course there
fucked up.
is.
Yeah.
That's why they had, when Marconi started in Bolinas Bay, he was
Mhm.
on the ley lines. That was the one thing that Eric Dollard said that I think a lot of people missed, was he was on these specific ley lines or energy grids, whatever you want to call them. I call them ley lines. They're energy grids. They go all over the earth. And, people know about
Supposed
them.
to
They've tapped
be-
into them.
It's supposed to be like a
Shit.
like a geometrically shaped grid that is in alignment with the way the cosmic energy flows into the earth, basically.
So everything on the
it's
right
cosmic energy?
angle, right?
Yeah, it's basically
Oh,
electromagnetic
so-
energy, I believe, but
Okay.
cosmic energy.
It is electromagnetic.
So it's
Okay.
separate from the
Wait,
magnetosphere.
let's
Or
stop for a second. Let's put a definition on that. What is cosmic energy? Is
Well,
that
it's
frequency,
It's
energy?
electromagnetic radiation, the full
Gamma?
spectrum of it.
Well,
Remind
no,
me
From-
of
high X-ray gamma.
cosmic energy. When I think of
No,
that,
I know.
think of
I know the
background.
science definition. I mean, what is it really?
Light.
I don't know, but ley lines
Sound.
have to do with magnetism and
Not complicated.
Jay, I would say it's the full spectrum of reality, man.
Energy ley lines,
No, it's just light.
I
It's
totally
sound.
agree. I'm actually going somewhere with this. That I think some, like, if you want, let's start with the zodiac, right? Each of the stars identified in there, I think, will provide a specific frequency that contributes to the whole. And that to me, that's how I think of cosmic. That's how I think of cosmic energies.
We're like all run and like,
You know what I mean, Kel?
No,
Yes,
he
I
doesn't.
do. Yes, I do. I was taking a bit a hit.
No, it's cool. I got a refill.
When anything goes to science, CW takes a backseat because whatever frequencies, waves, cosmological radiation, I am lost. So
That's exactly right, Thomas.
I'll admit it.
So okay, I'm going to bring up something that has a whole lot of offsets, but let's take the ley lines, okay, and that it is entwined with the magnetosphere. And then what about, let's say HARP only functions as the government says it does, and it's intended to manipulate the magnetosphere. Does that mean they can change the ley lines?
I don't think it's intended to manipulate the magnetosphere particularly.
Ionosphere. It's all ionospheric.
Yeah.
I personally think that the HARP system is used. That's how they emulate satellites.
They basically use antenna radiation
say it's
beams to focus and heat up the ionosphere.
Right, and with the chemtrailing, when you take whatever the typical mix of the alleged chemtrails, and you hit it with the specific HARP beams, it hardens into something you can bounce radio waves off of.
Let me ask you this, guys. We talk about chemtrails and we contemplate chemtrails. Is it possible that the quote-unquote, assuming their existence for now, powers that be, cabal Illuminati, are engaged in the process of chemtrails, but they've got an actually benign agenda? They're doing something
I got a good one.
they need to do to avoid some sort of, environmental disaster and or alien invasion or whatever.
You need to
Can I put my
watch.
spin on that?
Yeah, you need to watch Og's Sun Simulator video though.
I'll watch it. Let's see if I actually find an AUG video that I can fucking tolerate.
See,
Go
the
ahead,
thing I
Kel.
was getting to at HARP is they say that they can use HARP. This is what the government says, so take that for what it is.
They said they
say
shut it
actually-
down.
Well, but the purpose you can turn that sucker back on. The point was, whereas if we were to get into a global war, supposedly they would make it so that nobody's communications would work except for ours. In other words,
Bullshit.
no radio would function except for their radios.
And the ones they forgot about.
The ones they forgot about.
I don't know if that would really allow them to create an interference for all radio waves,
It's
unless they had a massive scale project which would like flood the whole planet, not just the ionosphere.
That supposedly has to do with the location it's at and all that.
That would work if the chemtrails were part of it. I mean, I've heard if you follow the work of like what's the guy's name, Cornhole or
John Edgar Cornhole.
It's close to that. It's like I'll find his name, whatever. I can't remember his name. He's done all this research on chemtrails and what they compose of, and he's like tied it to Morgellons, yada yada, that kind of stuff. It's like corny.
Well, I've run into Morgellons, like, or these people that thought they had it, and doctors call it matchbox disease.
Right, kind of like Lyme disease.
Well, Lyme disease is a weird one.
So for these chemtrails, like what if we are becoming a civilization that actually needs to bioengineer our weather in order to subsist with this many people on the planet? And like extraterrestrials are giving us the know-how in a way, helping us learn how to do it, and our government is keeping all that shit secret.
Well, I mean,
I just think if they controlled the weather, then either they're still learning and they're really bad at it, or they don't know what they're not doing it at all because there's no evidence of that.
right. It also just the funny little notion of if you observe a phenomena, then so much of this quote unquote alternative media, theories that we have not only just has to deal with people observing something and trying to document what they observe, but then the vast majority of the energy and time is spent on trying to talk about the why and speculating about the why and the rationale for it. And all of these things, if you don't know what they did, like, okay, 9/11 was an inside job. You don't know. The aliens were telling us you got a Sophie's choice. We're either gonna blow up fucking Manhattan, or you can say goodbye to a couple thousand people in the World Trade Center, the Pentagon. We did what we had to do.
Let me address.
Heavy wears heavy has the head that wears the crown.
I gotta go pick up
I'm
back.
George W. Bush. I gotta take that shit to my grave, Cthulhu. I'm gonna take
Can
that
I
shit
get
to my
back on?
grave.
Yeah, you got the link. I want to address your question. What if it's not bad? I don't disagree, and in fact, I take it even further. What if there are multiple things going on?
That's what I think.
I do too, and I think part of it is not real, and part of it is real, and part of it is projected, rendered. I don't know what you want to say. Like, there's a lot of video of invisible planes laying trails, or orbs appearing to leave trails, or orbs shooting trails. Like, it's like a fight in the air over the chemtrails.
But there's also companies that make the equipment.
I know, and there's patents for
So
all of it.
the
The main thing I hear is what solar dimming, or solar radiation management, SRM. That's usually the big thing that's supposedly going on. The sun's in some kind of fucked up state and sending more cosmic rays. This could be the thing they're trying to protect us from, but not tell us because they don't want to fear,
Well, that's actually in the forecasts. Is high
I
CME
know.
activity and stuff.
Right. Well, I'm saying that to your point, that's CW. That's exactly what it could be. But the same could be said for the Freemasons or the Jesuits or the Temple. Doing is saving humanity from whatever is coming in their mind, in their religion.
I'm not sure
Crazy.
stuff like reading books would have gotten as popular without the Jesuits.
No, because they wrote them all.
It might just be like, still slaughtering each other or something. I don't know.
We don't know what. It's kind of interesting because I really question what really went on before that time now.
Yeah, I guess it just comes down to
Faith.
well, not that, but who invented the first printing press?
What was that?
Who knows?
Was there a pre-Gutenberg printing press in like 20,000 BC?
Was this place here before 1880? Who knows?
Right.
Well, I mean,
None of us can answer that.
let's assume carbon dating works, and that bracelet they showed that supposed they finally said it's 40,000 years old.
Mm-hmm. Antarctica, right?
It was in Siberia, and it had marks from a drill. Like they had some sort of drill press worked up when they made this bracelet 40,000 years ago.
Looks like a clock or something, like a watch.
Yeah,
I haven't heard about this stuff. This is
Well,
interesting to
it's
me.
a Siberian bracelet. This was just announced recently, but they had been sitting on it for like 7 years trying to confirm it was true because it messes with the whole timeline of history.
Yeah, and how it
Because it's
does.
40,000 years old, and it's it has some tooling marks on it that are
Oh,
from
don't
a
even. What about Göbekli Tepe? What about those saw marks in those huge stones in that one pyramid place? The
Yeah, I've
drill
seen
mark.
that too.
It,
I mean,
so
history contradicts itself.
Well,
I mean,
if it's
the archaeological
that
evidence,
wasn't that long ago compared to the bracelet.
if carbon
Even
dating is
still, though,
accurate.
we'll
even
see.
still, they didn't think those sort of machines would have been used. And what did they have? A giant guy on a bicycle turning a big rotor? How did they get that to work?
Giants.
Through
Bro,
whatever,
and
through the natural energy of the ether, whatever the
Well,
morphogenic field can generate some kind of power. There's
from the
obvious
Sumerian batteries.
there's obviously some kind of innate natural energy to draw upon from here, from the earth. It's obvious. They were moving fucking blocks of stone everywhere, okay? And look, if you look at like Coral Castle as an example, and I know it's been debunked, but still,
okay.
there are enough stories in the past of people with a wand and some kind of device that can lift stones. There's got to be some kind. You can even look back to the airships in the 1800s, like the Nimza in the 1901, the whole Walter Bosley narrative about the airships. And if anyone knows about the Sonora or
I don't. Can you talk a little bit about that?
there was it's funny, groups of German immigrants that came here, and basically rich guys who had toys, and their toys were dirigibles, sort of dirigibles that were anti-grav, and they had an magneto anti-gravity device. And it was based on, guess what? Counter-rotating magnetic fields and mercury, just like all the real stuff out of the SS, out of Nazi Germany. It's so that, there's enough references, enough data points out there to point to that being a real thing. Oh, and the Sonora Air Club, let me finish this last thing, those would be in the Bosley narrative, the breakaway civilization who went to Antarctica. That's okay, I'm done. Go ahead.
So I believe I heard when I was listening to something about opposite rotating electromagnetic fields was that it would basically create a separation in your inertial fields of mass against like the regular laws and physics of gravity. And it's probably by I'm thinking of like water. Like if you can get like something spinning fast enough underwater, it'll create its own like sphere of influence in a way.
Yeah. The best person I've ever heard describe it, and this has always stuck with me, so I think it might be accurate. It was a guy named Maurice Cotterell. And
yeah, I like that guy too, man.
yeah, okay. So his theory is that molecules, and he was working with hydrogen. If you spin hydrogen, okay, his whole concept is that hydrogen atoms have two spins, not just it's not just one electron spinning horizontally. It could spin horizontally or vertically, and depending on which state it's in, it is attracted or not attracted to the gravity target closest, called Earth, whatever, right? So when hydrogen's in the air, it's attracted to the Earth normally with the gravity attracts it. When it turns its spin, it will search for the nearest one, or it will be weightless if there is not one because it's in a loop. So his whole point is if you could spin hydrogen fast enough, the spin of the molecules change. Thomas, shut up. Thank you. The spin of the molecules change, and then anything within it becomes weightless or inertia free, whatever you want to think, however you want to think of it.
Yeah, and then I was thinking like you might be able to like kick off of air matter or like regular particulate in the air if you, I don't know, somehow figure out to work that same inertial field because you're basically weightless.
Right? You could do it with a fan, with a battery fan.
You guys are you're describing the exact technology from the game series Mass Effect.
This is what I'm telling you. This information is echoed everywhere. There is some kind of technology that anyone can make, and it's just somebody needs to figure this shit out.
I'm thinking it may not even be technology, but like a spiritual energy development and sensitivity. And
Maybe.
What about those time
That would
crystals?
bring in an explanation of why no one's done it so prolifically.
People have to. Oh, well, I wanted to add one more thing to that. Shit, I forgot what it was now. I'm sorry, I forgot.
It happens. It happens at 2:19 in the morning.
No, it was a time crystal question that got me thinking about something else. Damn you, Thomas.
Well, what did you start thinking about with time crystals?
I think it's a story I read on science.com.
Well, I know. I read it on science.com too, but it's very interesting.
If true, yeah. A lot of things are interesting if true.
Absolutely. Fucking, do you hear about blue avians?
You know,
Shots in
Monty,
Syria.
those blue
You know what I
agents.
mean? What the fuck do you want to know?
I can hear Radagast's voice. Is what do we do now?
That was my question too. I
We
think
meditate.
Buy the dip in Bitcoin and then build robot
Forgot he
farms
did this.
and 3D printed houses and water for the
That's
people who
never
are
a question.
thirsty.
And you can't build 3D printed AR-15s. You can't do it.
What do you
Honestly,
mean you can't do it? They have a
Stop,
ghost.
stop.
You always
Stop.
need a gunsmith to make the barrel.
No, that's not true.
Well, then it's
You
not
have-
going to be a very good gun, man.
it's not.
No. That's
You're right,
not
it's
true.
It doesn't matter. We're not
Cody
talking
Wilson
I don't-
of Defense Distributed released the Ghost Gunner that
All
can
that does
see.
is print lower.
Yes, the lower receiver is still the gun, and you can get the rest of the parts easy.
You guys
And
can start
also-
a 3D printing hangout if you want. Okay. What were you saying, CW?
No, I totally forgot because the distraction of the AR printed through. But I will tell you this. Here's what I'll say, Thomas. This is one thing that we always say is that you need to listen to experts. Here's one thing I'll fucking tell you. If DG Tactical tells you that the state of technology on May 30th, 2017 says you can't 3D print an AR-15 or whatever it is, I'd go with it.
I'll show you that you can.
You can. It's just not as accurate as a real one. That's his point.
Okay.
No, the lower receiver works and it's perfectly functional and can take thousands of rounds.
Okay, but I'm still saying all you've done is make one part.
No, but
Jerry, I don't
it's
talk about this.
well, it is
Sure, you can order all the parts on the internet, but that's. You get what I'm saying? You're not really 3D printing an AR-15.
well, okay,
Make
legally.
one part.
No. Legally, the lower receiver of the AR-15 is classified as the part that is the gun because it's what receives the bullets and pushes them out into the barrel.
I know that, but
Yeah, so
all they got to do is ban barrels, man, and then
well,
more
no,
3D printed
because you can
guns.
3D print a barrel or CNC a barrel really easy.
Okay,
So now all of a
That
sudden
sounds like
you
you did
have
it to me, man.
you're talking about like a machine shop and expertise.
okay yes.
So
If this was 20 years ago, yeah, that's a real. You're talking about investing $500,000 into making an armorer, a weaponsmith shop. But now, with the ability to 3D print the lower receiver on a simple machine that you can put on your desk, now all of a sudden you have lowered the barrier of entry for anyone to be able to print lower receivers. The technology, CNC technology, is becoming cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And the ability to do materials outside of like soft woods and acrylics is also getting cheaper. And also, we're not even taking into account powder-based 3D printing. So you can powder, which they did with a full metal 1911, all parts 3D printed in a powdered aluminum 3D printer. And yes, right now that gun costs a lot of money because the machine it's made on costs a lot of money. But looking out 15 years with the rate of development we're seeing in DIY online community and the ability for us to iterate through our tasks quicker, like anyone's going to be able to arm themselves and
And-
arm a village for a
But
much cheaper cost.
that's not a fantastical future in a world where I've been at some places where shit got crazy, okay, and the notion that you're increasing the safety or making the world a better place by making sure that everyone is armed. We've seen that policy put into place for the last several hundred years of U.S. history, and we are the world's leader in gun related
Well,
deaths and
but-
homicides.
Well, I mean,
It's
look
just,
at
But because
Africa,
we have
the world's
300
leader.
million people, okay, if you actually look at all of the statistics and compare it to the size of our population, violence is going down. Everything's becoming safer. Yeah, there are a lot of shootings, but if it wasn't for the gun, it'd be a lot of stabbings or a lot of I'm going to run you over with a truck. Like
Right.
people who kill are going to kill with different tools.
fair enough.
But what the big thing about weaponry is that it equalizes the playing field. If you are a petite woman and you are carrying a weapon, it doesn't matter that an average aggressive male can overcome you physically. You can put holes in their body, and that evens the field.
That's one line of
But
argument.
it does that
Yeah.
with the local government and the state government and the federal government. Our nation versus other nations. We're going to end up in a mad situation where basically it's getting to the point where with just the right funding, with just the right viral sensation, but you're able to acquire funds and then misuse them to do.
Thomas, let me thank you for saying mad. Mutually assured destruction. That's the line of reasoning. In a world where mutually assured destruction was a state of affairs that existed between two superpowers for the majority of time on planet Earth, the United States of America and the USSR, mutually assured destruction was something that was kind of keeping people okay with dealing with the anxiety of the fact that we had a technology that could destroy the world. The notion that in mutually assured destruction played out at the level not of two nation states or multiple nation states,
but on a peer-to-peer level.
but on a peer-to-peer level, peer-to-peer mutually assured destruction is going to result in one thing and one thing only: mutually assured destruction. Because there's not. I mean, you can't guarantee against it. But beyond that,
it's the definition of it.
Yeah.
No. Because
this kind of conversation.
And you're not going to walk around all day.
Here's
People
the
are going to
thing,
be walking
guys.
around all day with AR-15s. And what if there's a simple auto accident? You
CW.
plowed into a group
I
of
don't
people
want to live in the
who
Walking Dead.
grasping their AR-15s.
Well, no. There'll be classier weapons than an AR-15.
But,
That's so
Thomas,
unfashionable
in the world, in the 3D printed world of tomorrow, here's what's going to happen. By that time that all stuff has come online, those 3D printed technologies will be all ganged up and into mainframe computers, and the technology to control it would not be the physical weapon; it would be the plans for the weapon. You want to print an AR-15, unless you could be a 3D.
Digital information cannot be stopped from spreading, especially valuable. No.
Yeah,
Bitcoin
can
proved
be.
this. You can't shut it down anymore.
No. I can't shut down digital.
You can put the blueprints to
I
the
can
I can shut down your access to information technology.
No, you can't.
Sure, I can.
Okay, so in your little fiefdom,
this argument can never end because we're just saying things that are like, I mean, both
Yeah,
kind of right.
But this is the problem with anarchism. Oh, it's no problem because everyone's going to have a gun, but it's okay because everyone's going to have a gun and they can defend themselves. And yeah, it's a Mad Max fucking hellscape where people are wandering around the streets armed to the fucking
you gotta have laws,
we're
man.
not
Like,
going into any other future than this. You're either going to turn into a supervillain because you're going to go crazy and misuse your funds and blow people up or do a bioweapon attack, or you're going to become a superhero and like reduce suffering in the world, and you will have the funds and ability to do so. Or you're going to become a primitivist and say, you know what, the world is too crazy for me right now. I'm going to have my little piece of property and die on it.
A low tech.
Yeah, a primitive.
Modern.
Like Burt's Bees, Bert.
No,
but,
do you remember?
But we live
okay,
in
you're done.
This period of time. Okay, wait. I will close with this.
All right.
We live in this. Despite the fact that we have mutually assured destruction now, apparently mainstream belief, We have not done it, and it's the safest period of time. I believe that with
Between
life
two rational actors.
with life extension technology as as the backbone of our future, and everyone being armed, people are going to come to a peaceful agreements, because it's not that you have 75 years to lose. It's not that you have the potential to lose another 35 years. It's that you have the potential to lose 1,000 years where things can get better and you can become a greater person.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. What if there was a natural way to do that? You wouldn't have to use technology.
But
it
extend life.
Good luck making that mainstream.
I know, but this is kind of the crux of the issue too.
I would say,
well, good luck making it
only a
mainstream.
natural way to do
Going
it.
to compete in the marketplace of life extension technology.
Well, you know, in William Gibson's future, the people that could extend their life, they actually stayed in cryo. They stayed frozen, and they only came out when things got really important.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Right
sure
back
the
into freezing.
technological advancement that we get in health and science is going to be to figure out exactly what the body needs to survive 1,000+ years, and it's not going to be some splicing epigenetic crazy stem cell guzzling crazy nonsense.
I think
But if you develop
process
Alzheimer's and we have a CRISPR viral attack that can just shut off your ability to have Alzheimer's, guess what? You're gonna fucking take that, because no one wants to have Alzheimer's.
Well, then, actually, the funny thing is, Thomas, is that like people are strange. So, for example, if you look at the age of the average suicide bomber, and compare that even with the average life expectancy in their regions that they originate from, even though sometimes those regions have very short life expectancies compared to the developed world, you see that there's a flaw in your logic. The flaw that people are going to value, having longevity or time over just being kind of cuckoo and crazy. But you know what really this comes down to, Thomas? A lot of this comes down to arguments that underlie anarchist and libertarian political philosophies. And the non-anarchists and non-libertarians always have a field day with this, because there are just so many assumptions and about how things are going to work in the future with no centralized government and whatever, and it just becomes, Thomas, no one wants a world where everyone has to walk around armed to the teeth to defend themselves against everyone else who's armed to the teeth. There's no kind of fucking society.
Like it or not.
No, you don't have to.
Let's
You
just
don't
take
have
polite
to.
society right now.
Yeah.
Thomas,
You're right that you don't
I
have
live
to.
in a state that has there's good gun laws here if you like to carry a gun. But we have a law that says you can't, if you're just a normal civilian, you cannot carry a gun in a hospital. Now, why do you think that is?
Assassination attempts.
No, it's not assassination attempts. It's
a politician gets sick and someone
because people
brings
get
them
very
flowers.
upset in hospitals. And before this law came into effect, there was incidents where people that had guns tended to act out. And it's
there are going to be safe zones where your ability to not be armed is enforced by an expert system that will just execute you on site if it sees you have a weapon.
So this is anarcho-capitalism.
With expert precision by drone.
And I'll tell you. So here's
that sounds terrible, Thomas.
Yeah,
well, I don't see
Thomas. You know what like about this. This may sound insulting. I hope it doesn't.
I don't. I'm not offense.
Good. Playing with you is a little bit like playing with that kid who agrees to play cops and robbers, but every time you catch him and get him dead to rights and shoot him first, says to you, "I know you pulled your gun first and shot me first, but what you didn't see is that I had an invisible shield." And my invisible shield popped off my belt and blocked your bullet. And blocked your bullet. And what you didn't see is that behind you, I've got a trained pink gorilla, and he has just jumped you and torn off your head. So I'm right and you're wrong. And even though you think that you won the game according to the rules of the game, the fact of the matter is I'm taking all my marbles and going home.
No, I'm just challenging. I'm going to keep challenging your pessimism.
But challenging the pessimism. Here's the other thing: is that what is the point of challenging everything that comes across your transom? Isn't it possible that some of the information that comes to you from external individuals, instead of challenging it right away by default and deflection, to just sit there and take a moment to take the information in?
Well, I mean, okay, like give me an example.
Hold on,
Like,
yeah,
let's play it out.
Yo,
Let's-
we've
I'll-
hijacked Jerry. I think we've officially hijacked Jerry's show.
That's it. That's not
No, it's
his
just the flow.
avatar. That's actually him. That's what's going on right now.
Okay, but let's play this out. Unless you don't want to.
No. I'll play it.
Okay.
I don't think
I think I already did. I think I already hit it out. I already think I hit it out of the ballpark, Thomas. With this.
Jerry, I
Well, then I want to try fixing it.
I'll do this. Do this for me. Well, you can't really fix it because I think what it is that you're laying out a response, but I don't think that the response is satisfactory or attractive to people. So, for example, if you have any scenario in my mind that ends up with your end state of, as you called it, peer-to-peer, mutually assured destruction.
Yeah, I don't like it either, but I don't see another path.
Well,
You don't
but
think
just
that they
because you
could
can't see it
create
doesn't
like
mean that's not so. An
satellite
infinite
laser
number of possibilities.
technology?
You
Yeah,
locked it in.
well, I mean, I assume that, but I can only express what I see.
Yeah, but you haven't seen this world of mutually assured.
Yeah, I have in my head. I've seen how it played out.
Yeah, well, I've seen. I've seen myself making sweet love to Jerry Cthulhu many times at night. Because it actually happened or was so, right? You know what I mean?
Well, in a way, it was right. You have to take responsibility for that.
No, see, that's the other thing. If you come up to me and say to me, hey CW, I just want to let you know, last night in my dreams, I raped. I've had people. Listen, I gotta tell you something.
Okay.
Here's the great thing about YouTube. I can tell you a real story. I can tell you that literally using the word literally correctly.
Yeah.
I have received multiple YouTube comments from people saying, "Hey, CW, by the way, hope you know I fucked you last night on the Astral for reals." From people who I know based on other past interactions with them, probably even if just
Yeah.
to kill me psychically, were like, I'm not even gay, but I'm fucking this guy in the Astral. You know what I mean? That actually happened. But just like sometimes, remember that old game?
Oh, not even gay, right?
Remember that old game? Oh, I made you say that. I made you say, you're on the playground. You say, I don't want to play with you anymore. I made you say that.
No,
Only a child gets upset by that, because at a certain point you realize that words don't actually have power. This magical thinking is beautiful, but if I masturbate into the ground, that's not necessarily going to ensure the next
it's a
year's
simulation.
crops.
It's a simulation that you entered, and so you have to take responsibility for the fact that you chose to enter that simulation.
Well, no, because it wasn't a simulation. It was my imagination.
No, that's the same thing as a simulation. You're simulating the future. Okay. Well, yeah,
it's not
have a disagreement on that then.
Yeah, because a simulation is you place my consciousness within an environment that I perceive as real, and I'm experiencing external stimuli, external for myself, that's being simulated.
Yeah, I don't see how it's different, because
if I imagine a scenario in my head, I'm aware.
What do you experience?
First of all, what you experience in your head is distinct from what you experience in the real world. There's, people always
but it's simulating it.
There's have you ever, Thomas, no one has really ever done this, and this is the billions of people on planet Earth. I've never once encountered a person who said to me, CW, I have a real anxiety about knowing and differentiating between what is when I'm asleep and dreaming and when I'm alive. Like, how do I know I'm not asleep and dreaming right now?
Wait.
Mental states have distinct characteristics from day-to-day physical reality. They do.
But when it comes to the alpha to omega of your experience of being, it you ran that simulation in your head.
but it had no effect on Jerry whatsoever.
No,
Jerry
I'm not saying that
it sexually violated.
No, I'm not saying that.
Right.
I'm saying that you don't. You have to. You just have to take responsibility for the fact that you are the character that would choose to run that type of simulation in your own head for whatever
Well,
reason.
then we get into notions of free will and character and nature, and whether or not I actually have to take responsibility. Because if I'm a sick individual with a chemical imbalance or a dopamine imbalance,
Which we all are.
or largely, an enormous medulla oblongata, I'm just
Yeah,
like
we're
a
all
pleasure
mentally ill.
libertarian machine. Then some of these things are out of my control, right?
Like, I would have to say yes, and I would have to agree with you. But at the same time, I would have to say that you have to ignore the fact that some of this is possibly out of your control, and you have to live like you have free will, and like that you are a mage, that you can shape your reality, that you have will and you have direction, and you are the main character.
But the downside would be if I accidentally, find myself in a moment of hedonistic pleasure.
Yes.
I can't stop thinking about him.
Sure.
And I'm there drinking and we're boozing it up and
Jerry loves this.
and I go back home and I say, this is the night. I bust out the Jergens. I put the satin sheets out on the bed, just me and myself alone. You know what I mean?
Warm up that flashlight.
There you go. I put on my favorite, montage of Jerry,
Candles
Cthulhu,
are burning.
stills. Light the candles. Put on the Bee Gees music, the whole nine, right? And I go to town. If I tell Jerry about that in the morning, he gets really banged up about it. You had no permission. I can't believe you did that shit to me.
Well,
and then he turned to you and said, Thomas, I can't sleep at night. CW chanted,
well, why did you tell him?
Well, it doesn't matter. If he turned to you and told you.
Well, no, I mean, yes, it does.
Thomas,
if you do something and then tell...
If someone came to you and
Yeah.
said to you, I'm banged up beyond all belief, I can't breathe, I'm having trouble eating because some jerkwad on the street told me that he masturbated about me last night, you would tell him to get over it because someone doing that, it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect you.
I know.
Magical thinking is beautiful, but if you take magical thinking too far, you end up in a psychotic state.
Yes, I absolutely agree with you. Okay, I have to say that I'm basing my perspective on the fact that where I'm at now is I believe solipsism to be true and objectivism to be true, which is a paradoxical state. If you are a solipsist, you cannot be an objectivist. And if you are an objectivist, you cannot be a solipsist. But I think that both positions are wrong and that the truth is in the middle, that both solipsism and objectivism are both true. And so you have to accept the fact that things are outside of your control, but you have to live like they are in your control.
Sometimes, I mean, I agree with you to a point, in the sense that I think that, like, I believe that certain aspects of, like, chicken soup for the soul, it might just be or like advice from Bashar. You know what I mean? Sometimes the sweet, innocent prayer or lie or fantasy is what it takes or what it gets you from point A to point B. That's why even in a world where everyone hates religion, I say people should have a religion because it's it's a tool in your tool chest to survive, to survive the world. However, having said that, the caveat is don't go too far. Don't get high on your own supply. So if you want to think that, hey, one should be aware of solipsism because it can lead to powering your imagineering, turning you into a mage, controlling your own reality, and that's more satisfying, that's okay. But at a certain point, you might find yourself divorced from reality. So let me tell you this. So for example, if let's say I'm a practicing Wiccan. Sure. And I said that on this day, on this, Beltane or whatever, I'm going to celebrate, the renewal of the earth or whatever, but performing this ritual where I ritualistically have sex with the earth to ensure next year's crops.
Yep.
okay if I know and I'm aware that that I'm engaged in a spiritual tradition that's got roots in ancient history, and I'm performing an action I'm experiencing some sort of connection and potlatch with thousands of generations of human beings going back.
And you're having sex with the earth.
That it's a magical process, or that it's symbolic. That's one thing. But if I actually sit there and start getting freaked out because I didn't make it on time to next year's celebration, and that's why the crops failed, or someone wants to hold me responsible because I did it wrong, then that's magical thinking gone too far, and
that's why you have to balance your solipsism, your absolute fundamental belief in solipsism, which none of us can escape, with the absolute cold hard reality of objectivism, which none of us can.
Shit. That's CW Change has been saying that shit since they fucking you stole my shit, Kerwin.
Well, I got that. I got that idea in part from Tim Freak with paralogical perception, and essentially it's the same thing. But I think I'm saying it in a different manner, so therefore it is somewhat different in that specifically it's the solipsism and objectivism argument.
Nope, you stole my shit. Just because you put new words on it doesn't mean you didn't steal my shit. I'm on to you now. I think Jerry's muted if he doesn't know it.
How quaint.
There you go. Anyway, guys, folks, it's coming up at almost 3:00 in the morning. I'm gonna be. I gotta get to sleep. I gotta go. But I'll wait till Jerry gets my contact again, so we can say goodbye. What's going on with
Jerry's been talking, but
I know. Not only did we hijack his chat, we almost like metaphysically because I stole his voice.
Like the last 15 minutes, Jerry hasn't been making sounds.
Does he know that he's not making sounds?
I don't think he knows. Omar's saying it though. Hopefully he sees the chat.
Try turning it off.
He's really talking too. He's like, I feel like he's like, life. No, not even.
Yeah, CW, did you ever play in the schoolyard paper, rock, scissors, dynamite?
No, but it sounds fantastic.
Like you think you're playing paper, rock, scissors, but then the other kid uses dynamite.
Oh yeah, that was that kid.
What happened to your mic, Jer?
He doesn't even know.
I think we're seeing a recording of Jerry that was taped earlier that didn't have sound.
Something happened.
It's the Homer Simpson argument. He works harder for the money.
Yeah, we can't hear.
Give him lots
I
of
wonder if he needs to like reboot his.
No, he knows. He knows what's going on. You don't know what's going on?
I'm just wondering if he uses external sound.
Usually Jerry does always know what's going on, so.
Hold up a 1 if they're in the house. Hold up.
Jerry, dude, I know you're talking, but we can't hear it. So
Thomas, here's what Thomas, if I were you,
Thomas,
want to
just say goodnight,
this opportunity to say everything under the sun about 3D printed technology and Bitcoin.
Yeah.
No, nothing.
Nothing, not a damn thing, son. Bye-bye.
We're entering a future where state regulation no longer matters and cannot be enforced, and that's scary.
And what you just said is just everything that comes out of your mouth, Thomas, is a wonderful science fiction novel waiting to happen.
All that has to do is start to happen.
Well, no, that's how I justify the years of YouTube watching. Is that eventually I'm going to write a sci-fi novel, and it's gonna sell.
Do we have that on record, folks?
All of this YouTube craziness.
Wait, rewind. Hold up. What did you just say?
What?
Take it from after years of watching YouTube.
Yeah, after years of watching YouTube, what I've really done is researched how to write a sci-fi novel.
Yes. Okay.
Well, that's definitely true.
Yeah, because what ended up happening is it sounded like you had a line of reason and a logic that started with after years of watching YouTube videos. So
this is my college education.
We should.
No.
That's where you earned your flat Earth certificate.
No, here's what's great. I have actual memories of being at New York City is not that far from me at all. I hang out. I've been in
Hey
go to
guys,
New
I
York City
think Jerry's
multiple
about to
times.
cut the feed.
Okay. So let me just say this, real quick, is that I've been out in, the footprint of 9/11 and literally heard people who think they're the smartest guys in the truther movement yelling at people, saying things like, "Do you know how many YouTube videos I watch about this shit every day? I watch 10,000. I watch like 30 videos about this stuff on YouTube every day. Don't tell me I haven't done my research. I watch YouTube videos." I watch Carrie.
That's not research.
But haven't you
I
said
watched
you-
Corey good.
That's Corey good.
But didn't you watch?
Yeah, W.
Yeah,
Good one, Jer.
What was that?
I can't stand Dabu. Jer's like, yeah, Dabu.
What?
No, man. Wait. If
Because
we're plugging,
Dabu.
if we're ironically plugging people, then I'm gonna authentically, seriously plug people. The Bitcoin Group new show on the World Crypto Network.
Roto-Ruta.
Best
Did I ever?
Bitcoin news.
No,
Okay, Jerry wants to go.
that's it. We're done. Peace.
Okay.
Love you.
Bye,
Somebody say goodnight.
everybody.
There you go. There you go. Good
Next
night,
time
everybody.
on
We
Jerry,
love you.
Everybody
the
again.
problems with the blockchain.
That's it.
That's what it is.
Blockchain sucks. Don't buy Bitcoin.
Good night, CW. It was nice seeing you
Absolutely.
again.
Oh, look at the three of us. There you go. Suzanne, we missed you, man. Feel free to
Yeah.
talk to
I
me
did not
anytime
mean to
you
do
want.
that. I just meant to say that you can't print a whole AR-15.
No, Dave, we've been through this. Thomas's theories are absolutely mind-boggling. In a world of
Look, he's smoking pot. We're not.
well, I was going to say this. In a world full of Jerry Cthulhu's and Suzanne's, you have to understand that Thomas's philosophy is so out there that Jerry consistently says to this guy that he's in fantasy land, right? The sky is a
That's a good
hologram at
point. When
night.
Jerry wants
And
to
Thomas
shut him
Kerwin is
off
a rich
instead of
dude, right? It
saying
is what it
keys.
is. God bless. Everyone's beautiful. Everyone's beautiful. One love. It still says we're live. I don't know what's going on here. Can we get out of here?
It's not. It does that all the
We
time.
probably aren't. Yeah, it does
Yeah.
that.
It always does that
Okay.
when I'm on your streams, and I always say, "Are we
Hey.
live?" And you're like, "No, dude, we're not." Why would you think that?
I have a little bit. A little bit.
No doubt. Anyway, I gotta go to bed. Love you
So,
guys.
yeah.
Later, you
All
guys. I'm
right.
gonna do the same.
Peace. Have a good
So you
weekend.
guys have a good weekend.
Bye-bye.
Week.
Okay.
Jesus, at this point.
Yeah.
Bye.
Good week. Okay. Bye.